Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. On this week's episode, we have Mouse Dog Bird, which is a really intriguing kind of. He refers to it as, I think he said orchestral folk or something like that. Something really cool, guys. It's really out there. It's really pretty. It's really, it's just textured. It's got a lot of sounds, got a lot of noises, but at the same time, it's structured in such a way that doesn't leave listeners confused or baffled. It's a very accessible foray into really just kind of interesting and out there sound play and sound design, but at the same time, just like really well made, kind of like folk-esque songs. So check it out. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we're off. What's up, everybody?
I'll jump right in.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, man, just jump right in. Why not? Who cares? Let's do it. So you guys heard me talk about it in the introduction a little bit, but Johnny, welcome to the show, man. I'm happy to have you over here.
Thanks for having me.
Your new release really kicked my ass. Some good stuff, man.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
What do you call that? What do you refer to your art as?
You know, I have no fucking idea.
It's the worst thing, right? It's the worst thing ever. Like,
it really is. Especially, you know, just meeting people in random places in your life. They're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And you know, I write music. Oh, what kind of music? Well, it's.
yeah.
I tend to go into, I say, orchestral folk music.
That's really cool.
Is
I
the
fuck
best
with
way
that.
that I've found to describe it as.
Yeah, that's
No.
what I mean. I like folk music quite a bit. So if there's any kind of that formula and whatnot that you're going with, then it's no wonder why I picked up on it.
Yeah, definitely. So there's I like to do a lot of my own sound design and things like that. So.
Sound design, like for
I do well, in addition to orchestral folk, I do a lot of I guess you could call it noise music or you know, in my opinion, it's sound design. It's making electronically certain sounds that you can't necessarily make happen any other way.
Yeah.
I really like that. And
Yeah, there's a lot of there's so much color to sound. It's so much further than this chord progression or this vocal melody. It's like the older I get and the more I pay attention to music and the more I listen to music, the more I start paying attention to specific sounds and the way that they're used to create like a texture and an atmosphere.
Yeah, they're super important to it kind of. I've always viewed songwriting in things like in the same vein as painting and in that kind of art medium. To me, it's kind of using a certain. It really is important, like the background that you're painting the picture on.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to make that background, you know, something different or something that you weren't necessarily able to create otherwise.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love that. I love when. Like Amigo the Devil is one of my favorite musicians, and he put out a new album this year, and it's very much like it almost feels like the songs take a back seat to all of this sound design or sound experimentation. And which is weird. Usually he's just with a banjo or just with an acoustic guitar. There's not really a whole lot of sound texture per se, but this has a lot of just kind of colorful textures that really put you in a different vibe than what just the song by itself would do.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
I can dig it too.
Yeah, I'm super about it. Now, do you release that other stuff that you do? The noise stuff?
Well, it's no, it's just it's the same.
It's the same, just under the same thing.
Yeah, it's under the
I
same
didn't know
thing.
if you did that like on top of it, like you had a little noise thing that you were doing.
No, not necessarily. It's all under the same vein. That's just how I like to build my songs and my music, I suppose.
Do you kind of go into it creatively in that way where you kind of start just tinkering with things and that becomes a song on itself, or do you sit down with like a guitar or?
It actually depends. It depends on the song. A lot of my more guitar more organized songs, I would say, that are built around being created through just starting out with a acoustic guitar and things like that, and built that way. But a lot of the things that I do in addition to that kind of music, with the sound design, sometimes I build new songs out of songs that I've already written. Basically, taking them in songs that I've already have, and then changing them into different things, and making them into different colors, and using that as backgrounds for other kinds of songs and things like that.
Very cool. What were some stuff that you were listening to kind of prior to releasing this new album? EP or full, was
it's
it full
an EP.
Length? It's an EP, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's close to a full length.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's still an EP. I had intended it as such, but I didn't really intend it for it to ended up being so long. But oh wait, what was the question again?
So, what were you kind of listening to before?
What was I listening
beforehand?
to?
Like, was there anything that kind of went into influencing this?
Not necessarily. Really, it is just this album was the start of my ideas of where I'm planning on going. It was just kind of the first. I don't know what you call it.
Well, your stuff prior to this was a little bit more stripped back, right? It was a little bit more like acoustic based, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it kind of is. But then what I have released and what I developed, I really had no intention of going in a certain direction or making certain sounds based on things that I've heard before. Honestly, this is simply me following my intuition, following the way I feel that it needed to go.
Hell yeah.
That's really the basis of my art is. And that is really, it's just it's developing on its own. It became what it was without me necessarily intending on it to be that, but it couldn't have been any other way.
That's good. I mean, isn't that the best way to create anything? It's like when you start writing a book, I feel like the most important thing is to not know how it's going to end.
Exactly. It's extremely freeing. And that held me up for a really long time. I've been a musician for a really long time. I've played in Phoenix I've been around for a while. But what really held me back with writing and going forward was just basically just that. I had always, as a songwriter, thought almost that I was supposed to create things based on making you see a certain or feel a certain way, and for me, it just couldn't do that. I couldn't write fiction. I couldn't write something that wasn't real, because when I did, it just came out. It came out all wrong, and just didn't feel like me. And I never made progress for years. I didn't make progress until I finally just threw up my hands and said, "Wait, I just figured out that I'm never gonna make progress until I just accept that what I did is what I did." Like, as in, the art that I created in that time is what it was, and it's all on its own. It has form. It has it's can't find the right word. I'm trying to.
No, I understand. Yeah, no.
Substance. It has a.
Yeah, it has to kind of find a life of its own and everything. I mean, you hear that all the time with artists of any kind. It's really common with comedians too. They'll go out and do open mics and start establishing their name under something specific that they want to do, and then it just keeps failing and it keeps failing and it keeps failing.
Yeah.
And then one night, like that's what happened with Louis C.K. He had like the same exact bit that he was doing for 5 fucking years, the same 30 minutes or whatever. And then one night he was having a terrible show and he just started complaining, and then and that was it.
Exactly. I've been told so many things over the years from different people who have different opinions on this and that. that. It'll say, oh, you know, you can write something a little bit happier and people like your music a little bit more. And yeah, I definitely could. I did that, you know, or maybe tried to in one way or the or another for years.
Nah, man, sad music sells. No way.
Well, it's more so. It's more so. I had to be honest. I couldn't make the music. I couldn't make music based on something that wasn't true.
Yeah.
So once I started just simply documenting what happened and what I actually felt and how the music should, you know, is now representing what happened rather than you know, something fake.
Do you know Elijah, Human Kitten?
No.
No, I would love to see you guys on a bill together.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just if you would have known him, then it would have been a really cool topic. But it's totally fine.
I think I've heard the name before. Is it someone local?
Yeah, he's local. He's in Tucson, but he comes up here and plays a lot. It's
I
just
see.
really, really stripped back. Like it's a different kind of music, but I feel like the vibe would be super, super good. Really similar.
Yeah,
But,
I can dig it.
But yeah, man, like so. When you say you've played around in Phoenix for a while, has it always been under this name, or were you in bands, or what?
No, actually.
Take us through the history. Were you in the main? I mean, a lot.
I used to play as Jonathan Rhodes.
Okay.
It was a kind of a play on a family name. So I kind of played under a different name years ago. But I used to play at like places like the Willow House open mic. Back in the day, I met a lot of really great musicians there. I met like Sean from AJJ there.
Nice.
So like I knew him from way back in the day. But also like Brody Hubbard and some other guys I met from a really long time ago who were really great. But I played at like the Willow House and Modified and stuff like that. But this is, you know, 10 plus years ago when I first getting started. But
yeah, I got you. Yeah, Modified I hear about like crazy.
Oh, Modified was a great place.
It comes up on this show at least
Hot,
every other episode.
but great. Yeah.
Especially when I had Robbie Pfeffer on from Playboy Man Baby. He was talking about it a bunch.
Yeah. I kind of really wish that place was still around.
Yeah, it's still there, right? But they just don't do music.
It's still there.
Or
They just
something?
don't do music anymore, and I don't know why. But
Yeah, it's weird.
they should.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is a staple. I mean, everyone, like even like people like the guys from Jimmy Eat World would go there and stuff like that and hang out. From what I've heard, and
Yeah.
just a hot spot.
Yeah.
There's still some that are there. I mean, I'm sure if Trunk Space were to go away, everyone would be lamenting about that as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a trunk space is a huge chunk of Phoenix. That would be terrible to go away.
Yeah, it was scary when it did go away.
Yeah.
We were all like, "Oh no!" And all these bars are popping up, and after that there was only one all age space, and that was 51 West, and everything else was just like houses and things like that. So yeah, I'm really, really, really happy that Trunk Space is not only doing what it's doing, but it has all these different rooms and all these different shit you can do.
Yeah, that is really great that they have that option. I've played in the basement a few times, and that was cool.
Yeah, I played in the basement once too.
Yeah, I like the
rad.
basement.
Yeah, the basement was cool. It was fun. We got lucky enough to play we got to play Hope Hall. I'm good, thank you though. We got to play Hope Hall twice, which is like the really big room for those who haven't been there or whatever. They have like a really giant room that is just a church. It's literally just like the church part with all the pews and stuff like that. And that was really, really cool, man. That place is rad.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really glad Trunk Space is still going.
Yeah. What were like? So you did that as Johnny Rhodes for a while.
Yeah,
and
I did.
What was that kind of?
It was not too different from what I do now. Honestly, some of the songs I play now are songs that I used to play back in the day. Kind of just a lot of time has gone by, and maybe I've changed a few things here and there, but yeah, I used to do that a lot, and but it took me a long time to really start believing in myself. Enough to push myself to go out and do it. But again, a big part of that was finally realizing that exactly, what I have is what I have, and that's what you have to work with, and so go for it.
Gotta play the hand, man.
Yeah, and also being completely honest to who I really am is also key to me going forward.
That's hard, man. It's hard for anybody, but it's especially hard in an industry where everything is based on perception and everything is based on how you look or how you sound or how you act, and it's all about being judged. And
Definitely.
it's such a weird. It's so unfortunate that so many of the people who are drawn to art are people who, who are different, who are different thinkers and different emotionally and psychologically from your like neurotypical person. Mm-hmm. So you add like, okay, let's take all these people who are a little bit different and let's give them the most pressure of any human that we can possibly do. Let's judge them harsher than anyone else. Like, it's weird how that unfortunately kind of happened. It's kind of an interesting way to think about it, I guess. But
yeah, it definitely is. You have to go up there and you have to bear who you are in front of all those people, and that can be definitely one of the hardest things you ever do, I think.
What's your live setup like? What's a typical show?
Right now, I have some great things going on. I've been building this for a while, and I finally see the fruition of it. But I run basically a lot of my guitar. I play with mainly acoustics, but I just got a new hollow body and stuff for live shows, which is going to be great. It's going to feed back a lot less.
Hell yeah.
But I'm running into my Mac, actually. I'm running into Ableton Live now, and I use a combination of different guitar-geared VSTs in addition to, like, normal kind of different effects and stuff like that live now.
Very cool.
And I have it all running in control through my MIDI controller, actually.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I have it all. The last show I played was at the Lunchbox, and I finally got everything worked out, and it turned out really well.
Dude, Lunchbox, which show was that?
What
show was that you were at the Lunchbox? Who else was on that bill? I feel like I remember that.
Oh, God. Now I feel terrible.
No, you're good.
My memory isn't... No, I'm on the spot. Hang on, let me think.
It's not a big deal. I can look it up. I was just curious. I don't remember, because I remember that there was a show that I was interested in going to, but I don't remember which show it was. Dude, Lunchbox is a really, really amazing spot, though. They really, like, that place kicks ass now. Like,
yeah,
it's such a cool spot. There's a huge like metal show that I want to go really bad on Thursday night, but it's a Thursday night, so it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I see. The band was really great, and now I feel like a jerk because I've completely forgotten their name. But
no, it's cool. It happens, man.
I'm been thinking of
I've
other things, and now it's gone.
Forgotten people's names that I played with that night.
No.
Or I mess up their name when I shout them out. Sometimes it's better to not even shout them out at all. Because
and then I'll feel genuinely awful.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I feel it. So the name, I'm assuming the name comes from Radiohead, right, or Tom York?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. Was that I'm assuming that was a pretty big influence on you?
Oh yeah, definitely. It has been for my whole life, but there's a kind of cool story behind that, actually. You know how I used to play is under those different names, but now I play under Stoked, and I'm like super stoked about that because I wrote them actually a few years ago. I was fortunate enough to get contact information for the band, and I wasn't really sure. Yeah. I didn't thought it for sure I would be ignored, but I sent an email to them asking permission to use it, and they actually wrote back. Surprisingly, well, their management did, not them, but they basically said, "Yeah, sure, what the hell." We don't care.
Cool, man.
So yeah. So now that I have actual permission to use it, I'm definitely using it.
So is it just what now, is Mouse Dog Bird just you, or are you working with other people, or how does that work?
I do work with other people occasionally. Or at least one of my songs on the album was co-written by my bandmate Jared Land, who is an amazing songwriter and musician on his own. But right now we have kind of a postal service thing going on, sending files back and forth because he lives in a different state.
Got it. Yeah, that can be rough.
Yeah, that can be rough. So in a perfect world, we will tour together and we'll be playing together. But right now it's just me.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's super sick. I feel like I would love to see you in like a house show or something like that. I feel like that would be like super rad.
Yeah, I've played a few house shows. I definitely
Got to.
like
It's
them.
Phoenix. That's
Yeah,
what it's all about, man. We love house shows in Phoenix. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you done much traveling with it?
No, I haven't. I'm intending to as soon as possible. Hopefully soon here.
It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to get rolling, especially when you're not subsisting solely off of your art.
Yeah,
That's a really big problem.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult when you're completely on your own too, because there's so many more things you have to do, because there's no other people who are doing things for you. So you gotta put all that stuff together for it. But I definitely will be soon, and I can't wait for that. I think.
Dude, I love it.
Go really great.
Yeah, I love being on the road. Like, being on the road is so much fun.
Yeah.
It can be hard. You have to bring people with you though, especially if it's just a one-man operation.
That's what I mean. It's a one-man operation, so bringing people with me, I'm not really sure who's gonna come.
Yeah, man, just grab somebody.
If I gotta do it on my own, I can do it on my own.
Yeah. But I feel like I feel like there is something special to be had there. There's something special about playing on the road and being by yourself and really kind of experiencing all of this and maybe doing some soul searching or whatever. But at the same time, it's so much more fun. I feel like it might be more like meaningful or life affirming if you're by yourself or whatever.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
Or just boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with other people, it's at least not going to be boring. It might suck, but it won't be boring.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be either. We'll see.
It could go either way, especially when that's another thing that's crazy about being a musician is that you're on the road and you're driving 14 hours a day so that you can be on stage for 30 minutes.
Yeah, so you could just do that for really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's some cool shit, though.
Yeah. So when it comes to recording, I'm assuming all of that stuff is just yourself at home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do everything all myself.
Have you always done it that way?
Yeah, just out of necessity. I've worked with different people, but I don't know. I have to have things a certain way. I feel strongly in certain ways, and then I feel almost like I find it difficult to share certain things with other people, I suppose. Mm-hmm. At least the control. But
which is normal.
Yeah. So there's very few people that I trust with that, and Jared's definitely one of them.
That's awesome, man. It's really cool that you have like even one of those people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've done this for a long time,
and there's a lot of
how it is.
There's a lot of projects that people think are just like solo projects, but they have that one person that like helps them with everything. Like Bright Eyes is not just Connor Oberst.
Yeah,
like, you've got Mike Mogus too, and like there is a lot of people have those. A lot of people have those people that they lean on.
Yeah, but in all honesty, I am that person because I had to, because I had to be. I wanted to make these sounds happen, and if I just did what it was necessary to do that.
Was there anything that kind of piqued your interest in this style of music, or that kind of moved you in this direction over time?
There's definitely some artists that have inspired me and shown me the kind of things that you can make that are different from what you're necessarily expecting to find otherwise. Sigur Rós is another big band that affected me for a really long time.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing. It's a bummer what's going on with them right now, all the drama that's going on. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
One of the guys, I gotta find his name. It's
it was
something
with
some kind of like sexual misconduct.
I think I did
allegation. Yeah, but
that he's out of the band, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing that was great about that was it was handled so ridiculously well. Like he just because he decided to leave it on his own. Like, so he was accused of sexual assault, and then he like fought back and whatever and disagreed with it, and he's fighting it right now. But he didn't wait for anybody to kick him out. He didn't try to he didn't do anything. in situations like that, you can really only just own it and move forward, and that's exactly what he did. Like whether you did it or whether you didn't do it, you just kind of have to like you have to be as respectful as possible, and he did that. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna step back, and just pieced out. Yeah. And that's so cool. And then and no one's really talking about it anymore. Like he's just dealing with it. Well, so good. It's like, it's great. I mean, that's I feel like that's the way to do it, man. Like he's just being respectful to everybody. And I mean, in a band like that, I can't imagine anybody being super aggressive. Like as far as like not aggressive in that it didn't happen, but I can't imagine them being aggressively like, nah, man, I'm gonna stay.
Like, I wouldn't think so either.
That last album that they put out, the Coordinates one, was super interesting.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what it was called, but all the numbers. Shit. But yeah, they're great. I think I described them many years ago when I first discovered them as like, it almost sounds like a graveyard at night, like all the spirits just lift up and start like playing music together, and that's what it sounds like. I just think these wistful spirits in a graveyard like playing this really odd music.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to you. To me, it sounds like Iceland. It sounds like where they're from to me. I see sweeping mountains and green and gray clouds and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's
beautiful.
I definitely hear that too. I don't know why, but when I first heard them, the first out, so that was the parentheses record that made me think about that. Just like the two parentheticals, and then so the two albums that I liked a lot was that one, and then Tack or Talk or whatever. Those
have you heard the earlier one?
I haven't heard earlier stuff. I don't.
You need to hear that one because that's one of the more influential on me than their later stuff.
Oh the I get to be with the baby.
I can't pronounce it either, but it is an absolutely the most amazing album you'll ever hear.
I had no idea they were even around this long. Like I would have totally like if I would have seen this album cover, I've heard it, like I know what it is, but if I would have seen that album cover, I would guess like mid to like late 2000s. I had no idea it was late 90s.
It's actually more experimental, I would say, than their other than their later things. You hear things in it like rainstorms and just other kind of sweeping, huge orchestral melodies, things that I definitely took to heart, and I use the same kind of things in my music too. Like I've recorded the monsoon rains and used that in my music in one way or the other too.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. Were you into the Jonesy and Alex record?
Jonesy and Alex.
So Jonesy, whatever his name is, from Sugar Ross, he had another project that I think they only did one album with, but it was him and his partner at the time, and they put out this really really beautiful like ambient record, like post-rock ambient record together.
I don't know why I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it came out in 2009, and that was like kind of right when I started to follow them. And anyway, we definitely check that out. That it's called Rice Boy Sleeps, and it's just this really really pretty record. And it was just them, like I don't know if they're still together or what, but him and his partner made that, and it was awesome. And then that was it, just a one-off little thing that really really blew me away.
Wow. Okay, I gotta check that out. That sounds cool.
Yeah, they're great. Is there many acts like you or like them or anything like that in the current scene?
In Phoenix, you think? You mean acts like me?
Yeah, or like kind of like the experimental side of sound and whatnot.
Yeah. That's a hard one, man. I'm not really sure, to be honest. There's people who are around where I really really like their sound design. I think is really incredible. Lavandula is one that's just fantastic. The sound design is someone that I really really admire.
Yeah,
some good stuff, but not necessarily.
Lana Del Rey does some sick stuff too.
Yeah, that's another one I like a lot too.
Her new album
very
is so
dark.
good.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, we saw her open for AJJ, and it was like everyone was like, "What is this?" Like everyone came out to this like folk punk show, and then she just opens it up by decimating everybody with terror.
Yeah.
It's like what the, and then diners went on afterwards. Everyone's like, "What the fuck is this
Yeah,
show?"
but that's great though. That's Phoenix, and that's the way it always has been and should be. It should be a good mix like that.
I totally agree. Just keep messing with people, pulling people around and stuff like that. I mean, that's what Trunk Space is all about. That's what a lot of the all ages spaces are about. It's not a K&Z production where they're trying to make money off of everything. It's just like, let's enhance the arts and really push things forward.
Definitely, and to provide a platform for things that need a platform.
Yeah. They gave a platform to weirdos like ever since the beginning. That's what they always did. It was always some kind of weird cavalcade of odd.
And I'm grateful for that. It's a nice place that I can be myself and know that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's always been like that, man. It's super fucking rad. Do you remember like some of the really, really impressive early shows that you saw, like back when you were first kind of jumping into the Phoenix music scene? Were there any bills that you remember that just blew you away or anything like that?
Oh man. You know, some of the guys I mentioned, like Andrew Jackson Jihad back in the day, I saw them at Modified, when, you know, which isn't a big deal around us. We're pretty spoiled. You know, that people get to see small, intimate shows with them all the time. But that was pretty common.
You were in the music scene then when all of that. When like the metal scene blew up here, right? Like or a metal scene, but like when like Bless the Fall was taking off and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, I would imagine that's the same era.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. But I had always been kind of in the downtown art district, and you know,
that's different.
Yeah, it is different, I suppose. I suppose there's definitely that.
It's like A Side of Heart and stuff like that, like A Side of Heart and Lawn Gnome and that kind of area.
Oh yeah.
Roosevelt.
Yeah. I've always kind of played around those areas, you know, around Modified and stuff like that. So there's definitely metal shows going on there, but there also weren't. You know, there was Brody Hubbard, which I really liked him a lot back in the day too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the folk punk scene here has been strong forever.
Yeah,
and that stuff is everywhere.
Yeah,
in that
definitely.
little area. You know, people were going to see Pat the Bunny and stuff back in the day, and and all that kind of. I didn't get into the Phoenix music scene until 2015, so I'm still a baby. Like, about a lot of stuff. Like when I got into the music scene, Clubhouse was already gone, Martini Ranch was already gone. Like a lot of the play, like that shit was already way out the door. I never got to go to Modified. Or anything like that, or that crazy the Rubber Brothers warehouse thing they had for a little while that Robbie was doing. I don't know, crazy stuff. I wish I was around for it, but I do like, you know, I'm really happy with the music here right now. Yeah, some amazing acts all the time.
Definitely have some really talented people.
Yeah.
Andy Warpigs is
Andy's great.
And he's great.
I hope he's doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he's doing that. I've been following. I'm like not friends with him, but we've hung out and played shows together and stuff like that. And so yeah, my heart goes out to him. I know he's like going through some rough stuff or whatever right now, from what it looks like. So good on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he was another one who was just like playing 3 shows a night every fucking night for months, and is just the most amazing guy too. Is like as far as support for other musicians. You know, I came back out here, and I had been gone for years, and really, where were you at?
I moved to Ohio actually.
Really, where at?
I moved to. Oh God, all kinds of places.
Really?
I was outside of Newark, a little town called Granville, for a while. But then I was in Columbus and Westerville and stuff like that. So I'm
from Dayton.
Oh really? Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, I lived in a tiny farming suburb of Dayton for many years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was born in Kettering, and I'm from that area, that southwestern Ohio. So that's why anytime someone says Ohio, my eyes get wide. I'm like, oh really?
Yeah. I went to the Ohio State.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
I was at Ohio State, Newark, and then at the main campus.
Very cool.
That's why I was in those places.
That's awesome. What did you study there?
Music.
Just music?
Yeah. I went to study music and art.
Do you feel like going to school and studying music kind of Do you feel like that killed some of the flavor for you? I hear that all the time.
Yes and no. I learned a lot of things that I think were great to learn. But I've always been the kind of artist who I always write by feel. I never really start things out with theory at all. Even though learning those things, I think I kind of just put them as far as like extra tools in a toolbox kind of thing in case you need them. But I've never written that way, and it hasn't really been a problem for me, I guess.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I hear people talk about that all the time, about how music changes and it becomes a job or it becomes an obligation.
Yeah, it's important to not go that route. I definitely don't want to do that. But
I wish I knew more theory. That's the thing that I think has always kept me from being better. Like I've played in bands for a long time, and I know that I'm good. Like I'm a really good player, and I'm really good at writing, but I'm not always extremely quick on improvising and things like that, because I don't really know theory. The only theory that I know is just kind of abstract, like in my head. Like I know that if I'm playing this fret, I can go to these frets next.
Yeah.
But sometimes but like if I'm upper or lower on the neck, I'll forget those patterns and things like that. So I wish I knew more theory. It would get me so much further.
Yeah. Honestly, the way I've always been, and I feel that is probably similar for other people, is that like it's gonna go as far as you're driven to get, like, and as far as what you need to get.
Absolutely.
So if you start getting to a certain point where you're feeling like, man, I need this, then you're gonna go and teach yourself that.
Yeah.
You're gonna teach yourself what you need to know, and all the information's out there now.
Yeah, I'm definitely not driven enough to do that. At least not towards music anymore.
Yeah.
I've kind of found these other little pockets that I really enjoy within the art sphere that I really like. And being in bands was amazing, and I loved playing all the time and playing shows and stuff like that. And it's awesome. And I still record with my friends and whatnot and help them out on records and whatever. But I don't know, man. I like doing my own thing. Like I'm a bass player. I mean, I play bass, drums, and guitar, but bass is really like my love. Yeah. And it's really fun to write on and play live and stuff like that. But at the same time, like if I was a songwriter, like if I was a good songwriter, as opposed to someone who I like, the way that we would always do it is my singer would write the core of the song, and then like I would just throw in my own spices and kind of write my own part for it, which was perfect for me.
Yeah.
I can be really creative musically within that sphere, within those parameters. But writing my own parameters was always somewhat hard for me. I can write a song, but it's not my go-to way of expressing myself.
Really?
And I think that's the thing. Like, I like being like doing everything on my own, which is why I like doing the show, the podcasts so much. But like, I don't know. I always said, like, if I could be a songwriter, like that's what I would do all the time. But it's always. I've tried to do that in the past, but it always felt like a chore. It always felt like something that I had to sit down and like get myself to do, as opposed to something that I naturally like would come out of me.
Really?
And that was my immediate like red light. I was like, okay, that's good. Then I'm not going to do it.
For me, it was immediately something that came out of me.
That's awesome.
When I first started learning how to play the guitar, the first chords I learned, I put together into something. Mm-hmm. It was just something that I definitely always wanted to do, but I also fell into it easily. Fortunately, I've been lucky in that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I would do it more with like I don't know gear super well, and I don't know like MIDI and all that kind of stuff. I feel like if I did, I would do more writing. I feel like kind of sound and some of the kind of more atmospheric stuff I would have more fun kind of messing around with than just like writing a 4-chord song on a guitar or something like that. And sure. I'm not talented enough to write some crazy polyphia nonsense or whatever. So yeah, it's interesting, but I love doing this, and being on the road is also really fun.
Yeah.
Just playing live. I love playing live.
Yeah, definitely. I've been lucky enough to play lots of shows in the past 2 years.
Was playing shows something that was hard, like really hard for you really enjoy doing?
You know, it's the end goal. I mean, obviously, like if I'm making these songs and stuff, it's a bad thing to keep them to yourself. You should go out and try to show, good or bad. I would at least want to show my art to people.
Of course.
So that's what's the great thing about going out and playing live. I definitely I want to, and it makes me happy in so many ways. But it definitely is difficult to bare your soul, like I said earlier, in front of people.
Yeah.
Especially with my kind of music, because it's incredibly honest, as in like as honest as I possibly could be to the audience and to myself. So that is definitely a difficult thing to bear in front of people. And it's something that I've had to work at in order to get over, basically.
It can be, the stage can be a place for so many things, like not just the music that you're playing, but almost like a catharsis. Like, this is where I put this. Like, this is where I do this thing. Like a lot of metal bands will do that too. It's like, this is where my aggression lives. This is where where the dark arts within me lives. And then when I'm off the stage, I can live as the person that I want to be or whatever. But because I have that within me, this is where it's all gonna go. Like, that's kind of how I am with horror movies too. Like, I'm a really anxious person, and I'm a very, very, very fear-driven person. And it's weird that I'm like extremely obsessed with horror movies, but when you really think about it, it's like, no, like, this is where I want to like keep that. Like, I like, if you have if you're someone like with an anxiety disorder of some kind, like I am, it's important to like not run from it, but embrace it in some way and roll with it. Yeah, because it's not like you're just gonna cure it. So it's like, okay, well then if I'm gonna live with it, I need to figure out the best way to do that. And for me, it's been like horror movies, where it's like, that's where I kind of express those things, and then I can kind of be free after that. And music is the same way, and all kinds of other stuff. Yeah.
I've gotten better over the years at playing in front of people, I suppose. But even now, like, I can play in front of a bigger crowd and be completely fine. And then sometimes randomly I'll play a tiny show with just a few people. And, for whatever reason, I'm overwhelmed with anxiety by it.
Oh, yeah, me too. Well, that's because you're playing in front of a few people.
well, yeah, that.
You're rethinking your life, and like, God, this is awful. Like, the worst feeling ever. The most soul-crushing thing I think I ever experienced while playing in a band was the sound of my own footsteps walking off stage. That was one of the worst fucking things. We were playing at Rhythm Room on like a weeknight, and I could literally hear myself walking off stage, and I'll never forget that. I was like, this is terrible. Oh my God. Yeah. So it happens. You have to take.
You have to. I mean, I committed to doing this, so no matter what happens, I'm gonna ride it out. Yeah. So I've had shows go terrible just like that. I'm turned into a big fucking mess, and I can't do anything. But you just got to push through and make whatever sounds you can, and that's the difference between I think a musician and not is you're gonna fuck up, and things are gonna go bad. It's whether you push through and do it anyway.
Yeah, and being able to roll with it is an art within itself. Yeah. Like, the idea, like, I have this idea that if you know what you're doing, nothing can go wrong, even if something does, quote unquote, go wrong. As long as you can roll with it, it's fine. Especially like when it comes to the podcasts and talking and stuff like that. If I mess something up, or if I flub something, or if I misquote something, or if I just like say something stupid, jumping on it and owning it and bringing it to attention instead of ignoring it always can make it entertaining again. Like, you can save yourself by talking about how bad it was. Like,
at least
Mitch Hedberg, the comedian, would do that shit all the time. He would say a joke that was stupid and no one would laugh, and he'd be like, "Yeah, that was stupid. I'm sorry." And then everyone laughed. Like, it totally worked. And I feel like with music, it's the same way. Just like keep going, roll with it, and make a thing out of whatever is happening. Like your PA messes up and everything starts to break, make some kind of joke about it or keep rolling with it, and everyone will stay with you. But if you get like really intense and really angry and really upset, everyone just like writes you off.
Yeah, I think so. I suppose so.
Like when Jack White like walked off stage a few years ago because no one was like into what he was doing or something like that, or like the crowd wasn't giving him the response that he. I know, right? Like what the hell? Like he wasn't getting the response from the crowd that he wanted, so he just pimped off. Like,
yeah, see, that's exactly the kind of shit that I don't think is cool.
But that wouldn't fly like like on a local level anyway, especially in a scene like this. Everybody like, "What are you kidding me? Come on."
Yeah, I don't. I think just having the idea that you're better than anybody is pretty much bad for.
Yeah, I mean
it's all the way around.
Bad for the soul. It's bad for everybody. Like,
sit down, be humble.
I mean it's crazy. Like I was definitely like I was a really really judgmental kid in high school and junior high and stuff like that, just because I was really angry all the time, and pulling away from that and forcing myself to pull myself away from that was probably one of the most important things I've ever done for myself. Yeah, like just cutting out any kind of feeling of superiority out of yourself as much as possible.
Yeah, man. Let go of pride. It's not going to do you any good.
Yeah. Just kill that ego, man. Kill that super ego for sure. Like
you'll be happier and better person for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And pride's a weird thing because you need to appreciate yourself. But pride is this really weird gray area as far as
definitely. That's the difference. You got to have respect for yourself, but also that I think I've thought about that kind of shit my entire life. That's definitely the kind of stuff I like to think about. Where's the line you gotta walk?
Yeah, I mean it's you have to be confident. And you have to respect yourself. Yeah. And you have to know what you're worth. Yeah. And you have to like enjoy what it is that you're doing and that you're putting out.
I think the key is to get up to that point, but then don't cross over into I'm better than someone else.
Yeah. And it's weird because like I want to say I'm proud of the things that I've done, and that's true. But there's a difference between like that's weird, like between like being proud and having pride, I guess. Like you know what I mean? Like it's weird. You have to just be careful with it. Yeah. It can just turn into semantics. Yeah. It matters though. I mean, like it's what shapes our entire society is like words and how we communicate with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you do as far as words with your work?
As far as how I write, I found out recently that there's something that I do. What's the exact? It's Dadaism is where it comes from, the art form. I know that, but there's other kind of musicians who have kind of experimented with it over time.
What's Dadaism?
It's basically an art form that is. A lot of it is kind of considered random. So some of the artists would take different things, but they would come from random places. It almost is like take these ideas but then mix them together and then use them in a random place. I do that, but I don't do it so much randomly. I write things the way I see them. That's again the only way I made progress with writing was when I finally started doing things exactly how I was supposed to do them, which was the way I think about things is very I guess fractured, I suppose. And the way I remember things it seems like a little bit different. Mm-hmm. So that I think comes through in my lyrics a lot. They seem almost random a lot, or really it's hard to tell where they're coming from, I suppose, or what they actually might mean. But to me, they make perfect sense. It's things written through my eyes and the way I remember them.
So it's kind of esoteric.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. That's cool. That's some of the most valuable stuff, though. You know what I mean? When it's kind of like it couldn't possibly be any more you than something that only really truly makes sense to you.
Exactly. I always wanted to to be that kind of artist, and I felt that is how I was everything was very personal, and that's any if I do it any other way, it seems again fake and forced.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, you have to do it that way. And there's some artists out there who did that, and that a lot of the average music listener wouldn't like realize. For like Nirvana is a really fantastic example of this. Like Kurt Cobain is one of those writers who, when you really look at his work, it was very esoteric. It was very, very personal. It was very, very specific, to the point where when they were starting, he didn't think that anyone would ever like them or like his lyrics, because they were so absurdly specific and personal to him. He never believed that anybody would ever be able to catch on to it.
That's exactly a perfect example. He was one of the artists that in the article that I read that wrote in that way.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from. It's Dada.
Oh, because Dada is the person, is the version of, is like the, what he signed a suicide note to was.
Oh no, not
right?
that. No,
Oh.
no.
That,
this
sorry, that was
is something from
was,
where before. This
okay.
is like a.
Sorry, that was. It's really funny. That was Bada.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that's real though. I promise.
Yeah. No, this is something much older than that.
Okay, got it.
I was trying to think of some other artists who write in that way. Definitely Tom York is one of them. But
yeah, dude, I'm really excited for that Suspiria soundtrack that he's working on.
Oh man, it's so good, isn't it?
I haven't heard any singles yet. I'm waiting for the whole thing. I love Suspiria. It's a fantastic movie. The original score was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So all I know is that he is doing the score for Suspiria, and people say it's really good, and that's all I need to know.
I've heard some of the songs, actually quite a few of them, and they're really fantastic. Of course, he's on another planet level of writing that none of us mortals, I think, will ever be able to.
What do you think is the prime Radiohead record? Like, what is, like, to you? It doesn't necessarily have to be the objective peak, but what to you is the one that resonates the most?
Man, that's a hard one. Like record or song? Record.
Pablo Honey. No, I'm just kidding.
Blowout's not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, not Pablo Honey, let me think. That's going to be a really hard one.
Yeah, I'm not as into them. So here's the thing: the problem with me and Radiohead is, like, while you're thinking, is that I tried to get into them when I was like a teenager, and all I had known was Creep, just like everybody else, and maybe like a couple songs off the Bends, and that was about it. And so I was at the library when I was a kid, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get into Radiohead. So let's get into it. The two CDs that they had at the library that I took home with me were OK Computer and Kid A. Yeah. And as a brand new listener, that was really fucking hard. I was like, what is happening? I was so
especially
not
with
ready.
Kid A.
Yeah, I was so not ready. It was not a good initiation. And it took me so long to like get into them after that, because that was a real hard bump in the road for me to get over.
Honestly, I started with the Bends way back in the day.
I love that record.
It's definitely a great record. Some of the sounds are very, very 90s and a product of their time.
But not so much that it's...
a lot of some of the songs could pass for right now.
Totally.
Right now, too. Definitely. That's another amazing thing about Radiohead is that, 10, 20 years down the line, it still sounds completely relevant.
It's not like Blind Melon or Edie Brickell. Like, it doesn't just sound like the 90s.
Yeah.
Even Beck was like that. Like, even the old Beck records, like you try to listen to some of his really popular records from the 90s, and it sounds so absurdly 90s.
Yeah. He's been around a while too, hasn't he?
Yeah, but good for him, man. Like, he's still getting awards and still putting out stuff that people are super into. Like, he didn't just fade away from it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay. Well, my favorite record, or most influential record, is that's a hard one. I would say probably a mix between Amnesiac and, let's see here, Hail to the Thief is a really great one. That's just a mix of their old and new stuff. That's a solid record from start to finish. And Rainbows is great too, though.
Yeah.
But then after that, their new one is a fucking masterpiece. So that is a hard.
Yeah, no, the In Rainbow seems to be the album that, like I said, I'm not super into them, but from what I understand from people who listen to them more than I do, In Rainbow seems to be the album that was really, really, really good that people don't give enough credit. Like that's what I've heard. I've heard that it's like it deserves more attention than it received.
Yeah, I suppose so. But you know, I don't know. The Radiohead seems to be universally liked and universally hated at the same time.
Yeah,
It's
definitely
that's a hard thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird band. It's a weird. I think it's just because they're so mainstream, or not mainstream, but they're so successful and they're so popular.
Yeah. It's like they're a mainstream popular band, but their sound and what they are is just not mainstream and not popular.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like. I think it is what it should be. I'm really glad that people who know music recognize the genius that's there.
Does Tom just like hate Creep? Do they just hate that song? Are they like resentful that song is what it is?
Well, you know, recently I heard this. They've played it a few times again. So you know, yes, for a really long time they hated it, but maybe enough time has gone by. So
I wonder if they're
sure, why not?
I wonder if they must be at least thankful for it, though. I'm sure that brought them so many.
It had to happen, yeah. Without Creep, then I probably never would have found the bands.
Yeah,
I never would have found Karma Police, you know, and then from then on, you know, has my opinions on music changed completely. Like I might not necessarily, I probably very likely wouldn't have found that if it wasn't for that hit that they had before. So
yeah, totally.
It has its place, I suppose. It's not a bad song either.
No, it's really not. There's a lot of songs that are so overplayed. It's hard to divorce like your feelings towards how sick of the song you are or how popular the song is, and really look at it for what it is. And that's definitely one of those songs that when you look at it for what it is, it's phenomenal. Same way with a lot of really popular System of a Down songs. Really, same with Nirvana's another one. Nirvana's one of those ones where like I'm so sick of hearing 3/4 of Nevermind. It's crazy. Like I'm so sick of it.
Yeah.
But when you really sit down and give it the time that it deserves and really like study it, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like In Utero too. But In Utero only has like a few songs that were giant. But that record was a fucking masterpiece. It's such a weird album for a band to put out Nevermind. And everyone's obsessed, and everyone's like starved for more. And then you put out In Utero, everyone's like, "What this is like terrifying to listen to." It's such a just like dense, in your face, loud, noisy album.
Yeah,
with no real like pop to it, really. Yeah. I like. I mean, Weezer did that too. Weezer put out Blue Album, and then they put out fucking Pinkerton, and everyone was like super lost. And they've been doing that ever since. They put out like 2 albums that everyone likes.
I've been lost ever since that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I grew up on the Blue Album, man. That shit was great.
Yeah. Yeah, Weezer's was one of those bands like Rivers has the best Twitter on the planet as well.
Yeah.
His Twitter is amazing. It's just like do you know anything about it or what he
does?
No, dude, he just says the most ridiculous stuff. He just says like, wore my Weezer shirt today for good luck. Or like he talks about how good Weezer is and how Weezer's his favorite band. And like it is a persona. Like the Rivers Cuomo Twitter is this really weird persona that he has. I'm gonna try to find like a really good one here. Oh God, come on, give me a really good one. Weezer is doing the score for Minecraft 2, confirmed. Or like
Minecraft. That'd actually be pretty sweet,
right? I miss myself. What do I do with the rest of my life? What does this Chihuahua have against Brian? That's the only thing that he says there. Yeah, like he just. He just says stuff like, "I love my supportive dad." Like I don't know, he's just really funny, but he doesn't repost anything. And got Weezer fever tonight.
Weezer fever.
Like
what?
He's just a goofball, and I think that's why their records as of late have been real goofy and weird and colorful, and he's just living his best life, man.
Yeah.
Just doing
All
fun
right.
stuff.
Well,
But hey, man, looks like you're living your best life too. The new fucking release is stellar. It's
Hey,
fantastic.
I really appreciate that. I really
It blew me
do.
away, man. I was so wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Before we go, I do have a question. Do you like Tim Hecker?
Tim Hecker.
Oh man, you're going to.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you know. I'll get you in. I'll get you in on that stuff. Really beautiful sound design, ambient kind of stuff. But like
Okay.
he, in my opinion, he's definitely up there in the upper echelons of like best, most acclaimed current modern people who are kind of doing it.
Okay.
Because everyone talks about Brian Eno and all the stuff. That's
Sure.
all the big guys
Yeah.
from yesteryear. But I feel like he is, in conversations 30 years from now, he's going to be remembered as kind of one of, maybe not like a Brian Eno or whatever, but he is one of the big guys.
Yeah.
I would say really important.
Yeah, okay, I'll check that out. Strangely enough, there's a lot of musicians that like that I almost end up avoiding listening to.
Totally.
Almost because like I do know that what I do is similar, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be like colored anyway.
Absolutely.
By something else, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Sufjan Stevens is another artist
Oh
like
my
that
God.
that I really really like. That I avoided listening too much of his new album, which is absolutely brilliant. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it too much because I like it. Almost makes me feel like okay, someone's already taken up like the really really good sounds. so what's the point of me making mine now, kind
Yeah,
of thing. So
definitely.
that's why I have to like almost try to avoid.
Totally. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming over and hanging out
Yeah,
with me.
thanks for
This is
having me,
super
man.
rad. Before we jump off here, I need to read out my Patreon subscribers, my patrons, my people. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show as always and hooking me up. Let me pull up the list of names here, which I'm having trouble doing for some reason. Oh, there we go. So shout out to my patrons: Austin Carson, Every Show Joe, Bradley Palermo, Aubrey Hoffer, my mom, my grandma, Courtney Gallegos, Miguel Lopez, Tom Maxwell, Bryce Copper for donating the lights that we use for the YouTube videos, Nicole Taegu, I think is how you say that last name, and Allison Bills. Thank you so much for your support and your love and everything. And thank you, man, for coming over and hanging out with us. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And thank you guys for listening. Get stoked. Aw, shit, look at that. The episode's over, man. We're done. Episode is finished. Luckily, though, there are plenty of other older episodes hanging around the internet anywhere you'd like to find podcasts. iTunes, podcast apps like Stitcher or Podcast Addict for either the iPhone or the Android. My official Podbean website. I'm fucking everywhere, man. I'm building an empire. Let's take over the fucking world. Anyway, if you've made it this far, I truly appreciate you and encourage you to please reach out and say hello. I'm serious about this, guys. I really want to connect with my listeners. So whether you want to come on the show or not, drop me a line. Hit me an email at gettingstokedpodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think that's it, man. Thank you guys so much for listening. It really, I know I harp on it so much, but it really, truly means everything. So thank you. Get stoked.